The following is a production of Notch 6 Media.
It's the Notch 6 online podcast, episode number 50. The 2015 Lionel Trains Volume 1 Catalog Special. In this episode, we sit down with Mike Reagan and Matt Ashba from Lionel Trains, and you'll get exclusive details from the brand new Volume 1 2015 catalogs. You're going to find things in this interview that you will not find anywhere in the catalog or anywhere else in the world. So sit back and relax and enjoy the new catalogs. It's all right here on Notch 6.
This is the Notch 6 online podcast. Notch 6 is the podcast dedicated to O-gauge trains. Whether you're collecting, operating, or just getting started, Notch 6 is your home for O-gauge news, events, and interviews. Now here is your host, Derek Thomas.
Well, welcome in for another episode of Notch 6, brought to you by the folks over at trains.com. That's trains spelled with a Z. At trains.com, you're going to get a great opportunity for pre-order pricing on all of the brand new Lionel products that we're going to talk about. What you need to do for that special pre-order pricing is head over to trains.com and sign up for their email list, and you'll be notified as soon as the pre-order pricing and specials are available. That's trains.com, trainz.com. Welcome in for this 50th episode of Notch 6. I'm not sure I ever thought we would get here, but here we are, and this is the start of our third year with this episode, and it's been a wonderful ride so far. Thank you for joining us for this 2015 Lionel Volume 1 Catalog Special. We're going to cut to the chase here pretty quick because we've got a long episode that's packed with information for you about everything in the new catalogs. Mike Reagan and Matt Ashba will be joining us to talk about everything that's new and exciting, and you'll get details here that you will not find anywhere else. Before we get the show rolling here with Mike Reagan, just want to let you know that there is a new poster available at madisonposter.com. The Lionel D206 dealer display poster is just been released. We will start shipping these here around the second week of February. I won't talk about it much today, but if you're interested in seeing our new poster, check them out at madisonposter.com. Without any further ado, we're going to dive into this catalog special. As with every catalog special, we recommend that you go over to the website lionel.com, open up the new catalog in one window, let this show play in the background, and you'll be able to flip through the new catalog while you're listening to these interviews. And so as you get to certain things in the catalog, feel free to listen along with us as we talk about some of the unique details and features that you're going to find out about in the catalog. And this is just a fun episode for us, and I really hope you guys enjoy it. It's been historically some of our most listened to episodes, so clearly we're trying to bring something to the table that'll help you make some decisions as you place your pre-orders here for 2015. With that being said, let's get this show on the road. Here comes Mike Reagan. Let's dig into the 2015 Volume 1 catalogs here on Notch 6.
This is Notch 6, your first source for breaking news and in-depth interviews in the world of O-gauge.
Well, it's catalog time once again here on Notch 6, and it wouldn't be a catalog special if Mike Reagan didn't stop by and kind of kick things off. Mike, welcome back to the show. It's good to have you back.
Hey, thanks for putting up with me, Derek.
We put up with each other a lot throughout the course of the year, and we've always said that when we do this podcast, we're going to go to the source, and you are the source, my friend. And so we're here to talk about everything that's new, everything that's special in the world of scale locomotives, and a couple of new and interesting accessories that you have your fingerprints on, as well as your design team. And so let's kick this catalog off. All right?
All right, let's do it.
All right, starting at the beginning of the catalog, you crack the catalog open, and within the first few pages, the first thing that hits me is the brand new Scale SD40 engines. Tell me about these engines. New tooling, correct?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Completely new tooling. Taking a little different tack on the tooling approach at Lionel, doing more of a modular tooling approach to projects. So gives us some scalability and allows us to reuse tools more frequently. SD40 was a good starting point. As the catalog describes, there's a lot of prototypically accurate details per the road name, different side frames, different body configurations, different grills. Ryan, who is our project manager for our high-end steam and diesel, he's done a really super job of doing all the research. He knows these diesel locomotives inside and out, and basically gave him a chance to have a clean palette and tear into it with painting whatever portrait he wanted, and he's done a super job. So yeah, the SD40s they will be a really cool project. Scale size fuel tanks, high level of detail, pretty much what most people come to expect out of scale legacy engines nowadays. But these SD40s are the start of something cool in terms of future releases for the product line. So a lot of cool things to come. What do you want to know about them, Derek?
Well, the first thing I want our listeners to do is stop looking at the pretty pictures of the engines and back up one page. At the bottom of that page, you're going to see almost a table that's laid out at the bottom of the page, and you're going to see each road name and road number listed. And then if you look across the bottom of the page, there's every different detail that for different configurations, and it tells you what's different about this locomotive from the other ones that are in other road names. And what it means for the listener is a host of locomotives that the details are right for the locomotive. So it seems like it's a win-win situation for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, it's also taken three-rail model railroading to, I don't want to say to a new level, but to maybe a higher standard, right? More of the blending of what has existed in the HO marketplace for years, decades even. Where the models are spot on, accurate for the prototype. When you get to three-rail, you've got gauge that comes into, you've got gauge and you've got compression and you've got some wiggle room from the prototype to make things. So, we're trying to take a little bit of that scale mentality, HO scale mentality, if you will, and bring it into the three-rail world. And, customers are more demanding today than they were 10 years ago in terms of detail and performance and how the locomotive looks, how it runs, how it sounds. We've got the best operating system on the market. It would only make sense that we have the best looking diesels on the market moving forward as well. Not that what we've put out before aren't the best looking, but best looking from a different perspective.
There's always room for improvement. It also seems that you guys are, I don't want to say taking some chances, but there are some unique paint schemes on these SD40s that have never been done in O-Gauge before. What drives that thinking to say, okay, we're going to just kind of really pull something out of left field on the paint schemes for some of these?
Well, let's think about it. You've got a Conrail SD40 from another manufacturer. Do you really want to go out and buy the same Conrail SD40 from a different manufacturer, or are we going to entice you more with a specific Conrail paint scheme? Yeah, now you've got something that'll look different and unique with your other locomotives. So it's just variety. A little bit of fortune favors the bold, but it's variety and doing stuff that's never been done before. So when you produce things that have never been produced before, there's a reason for people to latch onto it and order it. And with the build to order model, it's great. It's like, hey, here's your one and only shot to get this locomotive on this go round. Chances are we're not going to put that specific paint scheme together again. So it's one and done. And those who get them, great. Those who don't, well, there's always a secondary market for more money.
I'm in a little bit of trouble because the one thing Ryan and I share in common is our love of Conrail, and I'm one of the few in O-Gauge that has that love. But the problem is with Ryan at the helm of these scale models, I've seen more and more Conrail come into the last few catalogs, and it's very clear Ryan's fingerprints are starting to show up on these catalogs. But what it boils down to are these new details are just an awesome feature for the customer, and I'm glad you guys are taking a chance on them.
Now, one of the cool things on the SD40s, when we did the ES44s, we first released it with Vision, and then did the die-cast shell, non-Vision, and then the models that we have now that are plastic shells. We had the fixed pilots, where the pilots pivoted, and we're gonna continue that theme with these SD40s. So, in fact, I even commented to Ryan the other day. I said, I said, I'm really disappointed in you. He looked at me and he says, well, what did I do wrong? I said, we made these ES44s, and it wasn't until I got across the street here in service that I could see how gorgeous they were with all the paint on them. I said, we made these things, and I had to come across the street to service to see them painted. And, he kind of chuckled at me. He says, well, what are you going to do? These SD40s are going to be equal to or even more gorgeous than those ES44s. And the fixed pilots, it kind of caters a little bit more to the, I don't want to say scale, but the more prototypical operator. And, trying this market out a little bit further, kind of pushing the edge of the envelope in terms of feature sets, like the fixed pilots and the road name specific details, and we'll see where it goes. Hopefully the customers buy into it and they like the idea and order the product.
I've got to convince my wife I need one more blue engine on the layout, and that might be a problem. I'm glad you brought up the ES44AC because that's where we're going to go next in the catalog. And so if our listeners want to flip over to the ES44ACs, which are just next door to the SD40s, the ES44AC does return in this catalog. But what I really want to talk about, and you alluded to this, is the paint on these models. And you guys, again, are stepping out on a limb. You guys are offering an engine in primer only, and you're offering a Rock Island Heritage engine. And I mean, you guys are just taking some chances with these paint. You think people are going to buy an engine that's in primer only?
Well, it depends on how many KCS fans there are out there. If there's KCS fans, KCS actually has a locomotive painted just like that. And they have a name for it. I forget what it is. They call it the Gray Bell or
the Naked Bell is
Naked
what it's
Bell.
listed.
That's exactly what it is.
That's what it's listed as. It's in the catalog.
Yeah. So the Naked Bell is actually a prototypical paint scheme that KCS uses on their ES44s. Florida East Coast ES44s. FEC just took announcement and delivery of these locomotives like 2 months ago. No one else in the industry has even announced the Florida East Coast ES44. We were able to obtain the paint schematics from the company. Boom, there it is in the catalog. Spot on, accurate to the prototype that Florida East Coast has taken delivery on. And BNSF, BNSF and Santa Fe. Santa Fe never really had ES44s, but who can resist the war bonnet paint scheme?
I've got to ask you, is it kind of how it was if we go back to the post-war days? The stories are well known of Lionel going to Santa Fe and New York Central and General Motors and everybody kind of pitching in to pay for that original F3 tooling. Now, obviously that doesn't happen today, but are the railroads receptive when Lionel comes to them and says, hey, we know this engine isn't even out on the road yet, but can you give us, what this looks like so we can put it in the catalog? How does that work?
That's a secret I'm not going to share with anybody. Yeah. So moving on to the next question, Derek.
Wow. I think that's the first time you completely shut me down on a question in almost 2 years of doing this show now. So, all right. Well, I guess some secrets have to remain secrets.
Yeah. Sometimes a magician can't always reveal his tricks.
Everybody's got secrets on both sides, MTH and Lionel, and I guess we can't expose them all here on Notch 6. Well, then we'll move on to the Alco PAs. Did I miss anything else that's new on the ES44s besides the awesome paint?
Well, they're awesome looking engines. If for those of you listening, if you haven't seen an ES44 in person, I challenge you to go out and take a look at one. They really are gorgeous models. They perform well. They sound great. And they look, just the looks of the locomotive alone, without even putting it on the layout, it's one seriously powerful looking locomotive. I'm a little bit of a Rio Grande narrow gauge kind of guy personally, but these things look awesome. These ES44s, if you have any, and even if there's nothing wrong with them, you want to send them into service just so I can play with them after you bought them, that would be super. Got some really cool 86-foot boxcars and auto racks over there in service we can play with, and this engine will look right at home pulling them.
Let's jump forward. We're going to jump ahead since you brought them up. New paint on auto racks again this catalog. Mm-hmm. There are some new freight cars, including is the 86-foot boxcar tooling new?
So the four-door version of the boxcar is not new tooling. I mean, it is new tooling as of 2014. We are delivering 86-foot boxcars. In fact, I think they're due to arrive here either the end of this month or just a very early first week or so of February. So I don't know if you paid attention, but out on the OGR forum, I put a little post out there of some samples that we received probably back in October or November, probably November timeframe. Put a bunch of photos up on the forum and just said, hey, look, we got this in, thought you'd like to take a look, and showed it with the kinematic coupler, and then also the scale coupler draft gearboxes that it comes with. Mounted them up and showed people what they look like, side profile, and for those of you that have to know what the minimum radius of a 86-foot scale boxcar with scale Katy couplers is, let me know when you figure it out.
They are big box cars, and while they can make some tighter curves with the couplers being set up the way they are, some larger curves are suggested, I guess would be the right way to put it, for them to look at home on a layout.
Yeah, if you're running scale couplers on them 86-foot boxcars, they're definitely not going around 054. But they're great. They're great looking cars. And as we look out into the future and look out into today, what do you see on the railroads? You see big cars. So I've got a mold base for an 89-foot auto rack. I'm scratching my head, going, well, geez, I'm not going to put a 40-foot PS1 in that mold base. Let's put an 86-foot boxcar in that mold base. And so as part of that whole modular tooling structure, this was just another product of that approach.
Let's move back to the locomotives. Otherwise, you and I are going to be here for 2 hours, and while our listeners will listen to us talk all day about what we think is new and interesting, we'll move it along for their sake. The Alco PAs return again in this catalog, and I just want to make two notes that I noticed. And this kind of goes along with these new separate details. The Southern Pacific Alco PAs feature those icebreaker details on the top of the roof, which I'm sure are going to give a couple of people fits the first time they run them around the layout and find out that their clearances aren't right. But very,
at least they won't have
cool.
any icicles.
No, they're either not going to have any icicles or they're not going to have any roof details anymore. One or the other. We're just not sure which one yet. Right.
Well, I'm sure if anybody out there has bought a big boy, you figured out which tunnel portals are too close to the rails.
The other thing I've got to commend you guys on, and this is the Notch 6 history lesson for the day, the choice of nickel plate road number 190 and 191 being the cab numbers for the nickel plate Alco PAs. For those of you who aren't aware, Doyle McCormick is currently on an odyssey, which has taken, this will be almost 15 years now, to restore a Hulk, literally an empty shell of an Alco PA to operational condition, and that odyssey is almost done. They fired the engine up for the first time last year, and so there's a good chance that around the time that your Lionel model gets delivered, well, actually I think the Lionel model will be in sooner, but by the time the Lionel model gets delivered, you may be able to see the real thing out on the rails operating. So pretty cool choice of road names and road numbers on your part for that engine.
Thanks.
All right, we're gonna cut into the steam portion of the catalog, and this is always the fun part for me because this is always where we see new and interesting things show up, and steam locomotives are just cool. Everybody knows that. The J3A Hudson is back in the catalog with a few new bells and whistle steam. Did anybody catch what I said? Yeah, whistle steam. There's also some really unique options with how these are configured. Tell me about them.
The J3As? Empire
Tell me what's new about these besides whistle steam. Well, we should mention that whistle steam is in these models now, so that's a big jump for you guys.
Yeah, it's something that we're trying to continue with. A lot of the locomotives we cataloged and delivered in 14, and still have yet to deliver. Somebody, a few customers had to have a big boy, I did promise that I would have it out before the end of December. And of course, I also reminded them there were 31 days in December, and we made good on that promise. And unfortunately, some other projects fell behind. But the ones that still haven't delivered, all of those, most all of those engines in 2014 had whistle steam. And it's something that we're trying to continue with as we move forward with our legacy steam locomotives. Where we can fit it. I mean, obviously the B6s, there's just not enough real estate to do it. But, applications where we do have enough room in the boiler, we definitely want to put it in. So the J3As. So the J3A, specifically the Empire State Express Hudson, had a pretty interesting life. It started out as the glamour star in '41 when it debuted. And what we decided to do with a lot of Ryan's help in research is we decided that we would offer the model in basically all of its forms over the course of its life. So from 1941, you get the locomotive that was in the set. Then we go up in the later years when they start taking skirting off of the locomotive, and they start taking the skull and drivers off, and they start putting on just a spoke driver, or they put a box tow driver on. And all of these instances where the J3 tender comes with the ESC Hudson, and where the PT tender comes with the ESC Hudson, these are all actual configurations that New York Central ran this Empire State Express locomotive under. So it's not like we just said, oh, let's throw a bunch of tenders in a bag and pick a couple out and see what happens. Going through some of Stauffer's books, there's Al Stauffer, who's no longer with us, but a good friend of mine from Medina, Ohio, who put together a lot of those New York Central and Pennsy steam power books. He's got a lot of prototype details, or a lot of prototype photos of the lifespan of this Empire State Express Hudson. And so we figured it'd be kind of cool and, somewhat bold to try and reproduce it in all of its 4 different states of that it, ran passenger service in throughout its lifespan. And I don't think anyone's ever done that before in the industry, either HO or O scale before, or O gauge. So, it's a gamble, but I think it'll pan out, especially for the diehard New York Central fans. This is an opportunity to get a locomotive that is pretty much going to be offered one time and moving on to the next.
I've got to admit, when I first looked at the pictures, I thought, these are kind of odd ducks. But hearing you explain that there's a rhyme and a reason to why it was done like this, and really for those New York Central fans, I mean, this really is a pretty incredible opportunity to own something that, I mean, these are, how do I say this nicely? When you get into those middle configurations in those middle years, and as you get later in the configurations, it's not such a pretty locomotive anymore, but it's correct. And that's really neat to see you guys do that.
Yeah, it's like I said, we took some chances in the catalog. I mean, we're taking chances with the SD40. We're taking chances with the ESC Hudson and the different configurations. We're taking chances with scale freight cars. Is it going to appeal to everybody? No, but I mean, every catalog that we've released since the beginning of Lionel, there were items in the catalog that didn't appeal to everyone, and you're trying to make a broad enough offering to appeal to somebody. I think that I think the product offerings are good. I don't think there's we collectively don't feel as though that there's too many SKUs in the catalog. Now for the diehard New York Central fan, I apologize. We put 4 in one catalog. In terms of the Empire State Express Hudson, but anybody out there's got a previous Century Club model, here's an opportunity to get something a little bit different with some of the new state-of-the-art technology and controls in it.
You talk about taking chances, and we see this again in the Heavy Mikado returning to this catalog, but I think the chance, and this is specifically why I want to touch on this, and we'll come back to the J3s, more specifically what's behind the J3As here in just a minute, but I want to forward to the Mikados for just a second. There's an unlettered but painted model in this catalog. Is this a trend that Lionel is going to continue in terms of starting to offer unlettered but painted models available to their customers?
Well, you'll notice there's only one in the catalog, which is the heavy Mikado. So, like a lot of other things we do, it's an experimentation. If you're going to commit. If the orders come through and the orders are weak, well, we just don't commit again. If the orders come through and they're strong, and this is something that's seen as favorable in the consumer's eyes, and they ante up and purchase it, awesome. That's all the better. Then we'll probably start making more of them. There's so many different facets that go into the products that we choose to put in the catalog, and this is just a glimpse of one of them. Let's try it, see how it works out. If it doesn't pan out well, then we don't have to do it again. We're not committed. And we're talking deco or lack thereof in this instance. It's not like we've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars into tooling and we're stuck with it. We can try it. If it doesn't fly, then we just don't do it again.
Something that's back in this catalog that I think is going to have a lot of people excited from the semi-scale side of things is we have a Lionmaster Challenger back in the catalog. And I don't know if you know how long it's been off the top of your head, but it's been a good handful of years since there's been a Lionmaster product offered in the Lionel catalog. Why the change of heart?
Well, when we're at shows, one of the things that we hear a lot from people is, when you bring it back Lionmaster, hey, I've got a layout and I don't have big broad sweeping curves. I've got 027, 031, 036, 042. I like these big fancy locomotives. I just can't run them. Why can't you make something for me? Bring back Lionmaster. So we brought back Lionmaster. It's been probably about close to 5 years since we've done a Lionmaster Challenger. We're gonna bring it back. We're gonna put whistle smoke in it, which is all new for the Challengers. We did do a big boy at some point in the past, maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, right about the time we did the T1 in Lionmaster that had whistle smoke. But that was, again, that was something that was done in the early years of the Orient, and it was a one-off tool, just like the Challenger body is. And so we've modified some tools to accommodate the whistle smoke, and we'll see what happens. Hopefully, folks will bite on it. But much like that unlettered heavy mic, if the demand isn't there, then no more Lionmaster in the catalog. Next.
I'm glad you said that, because you and I were talking about that before we went on the air, and the build to order projects now, and you guys are taking some chances with some things. You guys are throwing them out there, and you made it very clear to me when we were talking off air that, hey, if folks don't step up to the plate, we just won't do it again. And so I want to make that very clear that, look, if you have an interest in these engines, if you want to see the lines continue, you got to step up to the plate. And I think you've made that very clear.
Yeah, it's not like we're trying to play hardball. I'm just being brutally honest. We're gonna follow the demand. And if there's not a lot of demand for Lionmaster, if what we're hearing is just really a lot of hot air, then like I said, we've got the next couple of years planned. So we're in a pretty good position to say, all right, we'll just move that one and slot this one and next. So it's kind of a little bit of testing the waters, and hopefully, like you said, hopefully people step up and prove to us that they are in fact interested in them. And if they are, then hey, we'll keep producing them, and not all Challengers.
That's hopefully a good sign of things to come for the fans of Lionmaster. But if you are interested in the Lionmaster line, we highly suggest you talk with your local Lionel dealer and get an order in on these. So the good folks here at Lionel do know that you want to see more of these engines, and that goes for anything under the build to order program. Now that the program's been in place here for, I guess this is about the second year that it'll have been around, I think everybody's starting to get a really good feel for how it works. And we've rehashed this a couple of times on the show, but I think it offers a lot of positive advantages, and we won't go into all of those. But there's a method to the madness. These guys are doing it for a reason, but it does mean that you need to make some decisions with this catalog early on. If you're interested, pick up the phone, write an email, do whatever you need to do to get your orders into your dealer. And I guess at this point, I'm going to stop here for a second and say, okay, it's February 2nd, the day this catalog show comes out. Approximately how long are folks going to have to make decisions on this catalog?
I think to be honest with you, Derek, I don't know what the order deadline is, but I would make a swag here that it's probably February or March 10th, March 15th, something like that is probably the order deadline.
Okay, so there you go. You kind of have a rough idea of you've got about 45 days to think about it, pick up your phone, write your emails, call your dealer, and get orders in. Another scale locomotive that we want to talk about, and it's not scale in the traditional sense that everybody thinks about, is the B6 switcher. Mike, this is a cool little engine that's packed with features, packed with fun. Tell me what's in this engine that's so cool.
Well, number one, it's a scale legacy locomotive that'll negotiate 031 curves. So a lot of people have been asking us for a scale engine that'll do tight curves. We tried to start down that path with the 460s in the C2 catalog last year, and we're kind of answering the call here with the B6s. It does 031, front and rear coil coupler, fan-driven smoke, legacy control, legacy rail sounds. One of the decisions we made internally in discussing this is we're actually going to put a wire tether. This will be the first legacy locomotive that has a wire tether between the engine and tender. And the reason we're doing that is to extend the collectors from the front of the locomotive to the rear of the tender. So, this for number one, this is a switcher engine. So its speed table as a legacy locomotive is different than like that Empire State Express Hudson. It's a road engine. So it's going to creep. It's going to go much slower, more low-end scale speeds on it. And as a result, you're going to, a scale locomotive, you're going to be on layouts that have some pretty big switches. So by having that tether in there, as unsightly as it may be, is going to ultimately have a positive impact on the operation, because you can slide through some of the longest switches that are out there in the marketplace at speed step one and not skip a beat, not stall out on the switch. It's just a sweet engine. B6s are, 060s are an attractive little locomotive. We've got 3 offerings in there for Pennsylvania, for our Pennsy fans. These locomotives will look great with those new N5B cabooses and, maybe even a small string of GLA hoppers behind them. So a lot of prototype stuff in the catalog, a lot of prototype stuff that we're doing for future releases. And, hopefully the talk about the small legacy scale steam locomotive that does tight curves, isn't hot air like Lion Master may or may not be. So, we put it out there. If, hopefully people are interested and they'll step up to the plate and order them, and, we'll make them. It's just, it's all about providing the tools to allow people to have some fun with it.
Not every locomotive that has cool features has to be 072, and this proves it.
Yeah, right on. No whistle steam this time. Just there's not enough real estate, but it'll still be a sweet little locomotive for sure.
The next thing I want to move on to, and probably for me, well, not for me, but overall in this catalog, what we're going to talk about now, I really think is kind of the watershed defining moment of this catalog. And to a lot of people, this may not be a big deal, but what we're about to talk about marks
a reintroduction of the B6 060?
No, not quite. Not quite. The reason I'm building this up so much is because this is a big deal what Lionel has done with specifically not only what goes behind the J3A Hudson, but Lionel, this catalog, is introducing 21-inch ABS plastic passenger cars into their line. This is a huge deal. Tell me about the process. Tell me why, and just give me the lowdown on these cars.
So you want the magician to reveal secrets, do you?
I don't want you to reveal secrets, but there has to be reasonings why now. I mean, this is a big deal.
Well, it's pretty simple. Anybody out there who's got a set of aluminum cars on order, knows that our delivery history for aluminum cars is less than par. Over the years, producing aluminum cars out of the Orient has just become a bigger and bigger challenge for us. A lot of it has to do with lead times. A lot of it has to do with the aluminum extruder, who not anyone in particular, but just the guys that are into extruding aluminum in the Orient. There's a lot of pitfalls with aluminum. For one, the California Zephyr cars that we shipped not too long ago is a perfect example of that. And I don't say a lot, but I mean, I saw a few complaints from folks out there. They were upset that they were painted. And, the reason we painted those cars is because those bodies were extruded, I don't know, maybe about a year ago. It was about a year ago those bodies were extruded. And when they went to pull them for production, there was a mar right down the side of the smooth part of the body where the windows go. And no matter how hard we buffed it, it just wouldn't come out. I mean, it would come out, but it would round off the corners where the windows went, and it basically rendered the body useless. It was basically throw it away, wait yet another year for aluminum extrusions, and then try again. Well, if we'd have done that, I'm like, oh yeah, look, we delivered it 3 years late. Yay. Let's order some more aluminum cars. That doesn't build confidence. I don't know what will. So we made the decision as a company to move away from aluminum and move into the plastic. Part of this decision was made on this modular tooling process that we're undergoing overseas. It gives us a little bit of, it doesn't give us a little, it gives us a lot of room to do a lot of different variations with not a huge tooling budget to do it with. So, what we've got now is some fluted side cars with, different window configurations. Some cars have skirts, other cars don't have skirts. Underbody details great. We're going to use the same tooling that we had for our 18-inch aluminum cars for the trucks. Those are good-looking trucks. We're going to use those. We're implementing kinematic couplers, so we can still get this 21-inch car around an 054 diameter curve. New interiors, new flush fit windows, so we can correct a lot of the concerns that customers had about aluminum cars in the past, and do it. Basically, it's a clean slate for us. So 21-inch cars. Why 21-inch, not 18? This goes back to some more of that scale thinking or that scale mentality. These are, realistically, they need to be about 22 inches long to be scale, and 21 is about as far as you can go in O gauge before we start getting into, your catalog coming out with 096 minimum diameter curves. Uh-huh. So, you want to talk about limiting market share, that's the best way to do it. But, the interesting thing about the 21-inch cars, all of the passenger cars are 21-inch, except the baggage cars, which are still 18 inches long. And the reason we did that is because most all baggage cars are 70 feet, 70 scale feet. So 18 inches, we're spot on. And again, new tooling, and gives us a better way to do more things and deliver them a lot faster. So it's not like you order your passenger cars today and we deliver them in 2 or 3 years. Order your passenger cars today and we deliver them before 2015 is over. So now it gives us as a company the ability to deliver a locomotive and the matching car simultaneously.
I've got to ask you about the finish on the cars, and maybe this is looking into the crystal ball a little far down the road, but do you think they're going to have something out there that will ever get close to matching the finish on buffed aluminum cars in plastic?
Oh yeah, it already exists.
Okay, we'll take that as I think you'll see it down the road, or that's my assumption. You don't have to say yes or no to that, but I think that's going to be one of the big questions. And the other question I'm going to ask, because I think it's going to be on a lot of people's minds, does this effectively end aluminum car production for Lionel?
I don't want to say it effectively ends it, but let's put it this way. We still have some aluminum cars that we have orders for that we're going to make. And there are some aluminum cars that we have orders for that we're not going to make. That'll be coming through your dealer network in the very near future, before catalog orders are due. Yeah, pretty much. It
Okay.
pretty much means the end of aluminum cars.
Okay.
I don't want to leave anybody hanging. Let's just be honest, right? You get the slightest little deco scratch, deco blem on the body, and I don't know if you've ever taken an aluminum car apart, but I'd rather rebuild a Vision Big Boy than take apart a aluminum car to swap out a body. And I think this is part of the wave of the future for the company. These 21-inch cars are pretty cool, and let's face it, there's not a lot of 21-inch ABS cars out there. So kind of fills a void in the marketplace, just like those unique paint schemes on that SD40.
And that's why I kind of wanted to spend some time on these, because from a Lionel historical standpoint, this is the passing of the torch, so to speak. Aluminum passenger cars have been a staple and a hallmark of the Lionel line going all the way back to the early 1950s. And I think you make a good point that the technology has just changed. And so, while you say, yes, this effectively ends aluminum car production for Lionel as a company, it's exciting what you guys have done to replace it. And like I said, that's why I wanted to spend a chunk of time on this, because from a historical standpoint, it's a big deal. For the future of the company, it's a big deal. And really, this is filling a void that was left by K-Line when they exited the market with their 21-inch cars. And this seems to step right up to the plate and fill that.
Yeah. You haven't even, in my opinion, you haven't even mentioned the best part of the 21-inch cars.
Fill us in.
The Station Sounds diners are back, baby.
Yeah, buddy. All right, so we gotta talk about that for a minute. Are we gonna see anything new in the Station Sound designers that we haven't seen before?
Yeah. I'm not gonna tell you what it is, because quite frankly, it's not completely finalized in development just yet. But Rudy's out in California, working hard on some technology for the Station Sound diners, and let's face it, we got legacy, so I've got 9 bits of data to communicate with instead of 8 like I had on the old one. So I'm sure there'll be a lot of cool stuff, a lot more cool features coming in Station Sound's cars. But these things have been dormant since about the introduction of legacy, and here we are, almost 7 years down the road into legacy, and they're finally making their appearance again.
If you guys don't have the sounds of the toilet flushing out the bottom of the car, I'm going to be really, really disappointed.
I'll be sure to pass that on to Rudy, or hopefully he'll listen to the podcast and make a note. But it's just, the other thing that's great is we've got the 4-car set, we've got the 2-car add-on, and we've got the Station Sound diner. All 7 are in the same catalog. Those out there that are passenger car guys, you'll notice there's a difference in price too for a 4-car set of these ABS 21-inch cars with all the new features compared to we were 2014. I mean, we were down to 2 packs of aluminum cars, just to try and make it affordable. Guys could get 4 cars or 6 or heck even 2. So here we are trying to bring back a passenger car train that looks respectable. And these 21-inch cars are going to look great behind any steam locomotives or diesel for that matter. But also helps us lower the price point as well.
All right, we're gonna wrap this part of the catalog special up. We've covered a lot of the big things. Something that I don't want people to miss, though, and something that when you and I talked about what's in the new catalog, you guys are pretty proud of, is if you flip back to the accessory section, there's a new, at least new to the catalog, truss bridge. Tell me about that truss bridge and what makes it special.
Well, number one, it's cool as all get out, because when you set that thing up, it just has a massive appearance. So it's 30 inches long. And it really, at the end of the day, that's the bridge from the swing bridge that we made a number of years ago. So it was existing tooling, and in today's day and age, you try and reuse existing tooling as much as you can. So that one of these bridges has been sitting in customer service when it was in Ohio for years. I've been wanting to bring this back in the line, or put this in the line. So we finally got it off the drawing board and back into production SWAT. And so we did a couple things. Number one is the sheer number of configurations you can use this bridge for. So, excuse me. So the sheer number of configurations. You can, when you look at the catalog on the right-hand side, there's all the different piers, and you'll notice there's 5 different piers. And the way we did that, or the reason we did that, was so that you can make this thing compatible with the height on tubular track trestles, elevated trestles. You can make it compatible with the fast track elevated trestle. So it ties into whatever you have existing. Works with tubular track, works with fast track, works with any other track system for that matter, as long as you use a transition joiner. If you use all 3 piers, all 3 base piers, it actually jacks the bridge up high enough that you can clear a 89-foot auto rack underneath it. And if you're running an auto rack through it, it'll clear right through the bridge as well, and husky stack. So there's plenty of clearance on the bridge without any tooling modifications in terms of putting a train through the bridge. Plenty of clearance on the underside to get anything through it. The other thing that's cool is you can take the bridge, so for guys who have layouts that they walk into or that they need to get to the inside of their layout, you can configure this bridge. You can put it together out of the box without putting screws into it, and you can just lift the bridge off, walk underneath it, set the bridge back down on the piers. So it can be used as a lift out. You've got varying degrees of height that you can configure with the piers. You can also screw the bridge together, and there's actually spade terminal wire connectors in there that you can jump the wire from the pier over to the bridge with the fast track spade connectors that we have. So you can hardwire it to make it a permanent object. You can lift it out, and then the reason we did those top halves the way we did them is if you buy 2 bridges, you make 1 pier that has 2 bridge piers on either end. So you can just like the photo shows in the lower left-hand corner, out of the box, you've got everything you need to tag as many bridges together as you want. So I'm really excited about them. I think they look cool. We should have the catalog actually has some 3D printed models of the bridge piers. So we've been playing with those here in-house, and it's going to be a cool piece. I'm really hoping that we have some test shots on those piers at York, because this is a cool bridge. Once you see it in person, you're going to have it.
I want to wrap this portion of the show up talking with you a little bit about production schedule. And obviously, it's asking a lot to project specific dates, but when will we start seeing a lot of these engines show up? Are these things that the planning has been done to a point where seeing these anywhere from spring to fall of 15 is realistic, or is it going to be a bit farther out than that?
It's going to be, like I told folks at York, 15C1 is really locomotive deliveries in the latter part of 15 and beginning of 16. What comes in 15C2 will be the early part, or the late spring or early summer of 16. So we run about 9 months behind, effectively, or 9 months ahead, depending upon how you want to look at it. You order now. Delivery is, basically 9 to 12 months into the future. This way, it keeps the factory level loaded. They've got projects all year long, and it works out better for us from a production scheduling timeline.
Perfect. Mike, thanks for your time. Great to talk to you again. We'll talk to you again this summer, if not a little bit sooner. And then the exciting thing is fall catalog, fall York is always a fun time to talk if years past have told us anything. So the next time we do a catalog show, I think we're going to have a lot more to talk about, I hope.
Well, let's hope so. Otherwise, we don't have anything good to talk about when it's catalog time. What are we going to do?
Mike, thanks again.
This is Notch 6, your first source for breaking news and in-depth interviews in the world of O-Gauge.
It's part 2 of the Notch 6 online podcast, Lionel Catalog Special for 2015. Time to welcome into the show a friend to the show who's been on almost as many times as Mike Reagan now, so a very familiar voice to most of our listeners. Matt Ashba. Matt, how you been?
Oh, I've been great. Derek, it's great to be on your show again. As you know, Lionel always enjoys having a chance to talk with you and your audience.
Well, we are very privileged to be in that position, as you and I have talked about behind the scenes, and we continue to value our relationship with Lionel. Today, what I'm going to focus on with you is we're going to talk about accessories, we're going to talk about starter sets, and we're going to talk about some other unique and interesting rolling stock that's more in the traditional line of things. And so we'll jump right into this with the Lionchief line. There's a few new things that we want to talk about this catalog, specifically Lionchief Plus rectifiers. New engine to the Lionchief line. Tell me about them.
Yeah, you bet. For our audience, you'll find the Lionchief Plus engines in both of our ready-to-run and our signature C1 catalog for 2015. So if you've got your catalog handy, you can open it in either of those. But Derek, as you know, we've had a lot of success and a lot of interest in our Lionchief Plus line, and we're happy to be able to expand that with a couple of new pieces for 2015. So in addition to the various diesels and steam engines, including Camelback and Jeep 20, et cetera, that we've already offered, in 2015, we have the E33 rectifiers, which is a classic Lionel electrified engine. We also have, which I think is really special, FTAA diesels that we're offering. You'll buy the AA set, and this will include a powered and a non-powered unit. But what's really special is you can also pick up a B unit as well, and that B unit will also be powered.
Yeah, those B units are something that I really want to touch on and drive home the fact that we've gone from the traditional Lionchief Plus powered engine to suddenly we now have powered B units available to those people who are starting to run larger layouts with Lionchief integrated into them. And suddenly, you know, you're putting basically two powered units on a train, and these units work together in tandem. And suddenly you can pull a lot larger train than you used to be able to pull.
Oh, absolutely. Really, you're seeing a sophistication of that Lionchief Plus system. I think we've got a lot of existing hobby operators who are starting to see some of these pieces come out, and they're realizing really what great engines they are. So for us to be able to come out with the AA and then the powered B, like you said, you can connect all of these and run lots of cars, especially now that you have two powered units pulling. But what's great about this is you basically have in that B unit really all the features that you have in the powered unit. It's a powered unit. You don't have the electrocouplers on there like you do on the FTA units. But you do have your smoke and your sounds, and you've got that power. So what a great way to make to add more power to your train set, but also to add a bit more realism as well.
And something I want to clarify real quick, these powered B units will respond to the same remote that the A units will. There's not a separate remote for these, so you're not trying to finagle with two remotes. It all responds to the same remote that's tied directly to your Lionchief Plus engine, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. One remote that will control any pieces you have for that particular road name for your FTA and B units. And just to make sure you're clear, that we're all clear, that powered B is powered. It has dual motors, a fan-driven smoke, and like you say, it runs on the same channel as the AAs.
Bottom line is your Lionchief Plus trains can now pull a stump, from what I'm hearing. That's a good thing.
Yeah, we'll call it a stump remover then.
There you go. You said something there that kind of caught my attention, and I guess I would be doing our listeners a disservice if I didn't ask. You know, it's getting to the point now where the Lionchief line is big enough that people are starting to have to juggle a few remotes, especially with larger layouts. Our thoughts of what are we going to do with all of these remotes? Is that something that's crossed folks' mind at Lionel, and is it something that you guys may address somewhere down the road?
Well, definitely Lionel is very aware that of all the things that the Lionchief system offers, one thing that people do comment on is a desire to be able to run multiple engines with a single remote. So I can't really let cats out of the bag, as you know, Derek, but I do like to put little teasers out there. I would keep your eyes and ears open in the near future for things that Lionel might do along those lines. So I guess I'll leave it at that, but I will say that we're aware of that request, and there's a lot of exciting things going on behind the doors of Lionel.
And that, folks, is why we do this show right here, is because this is the first place that you even get a teaser maybe of what may be coming down the road from Lionel. So like I said, I won't press you any more on that, but sounds like exciting things ahead. Let's talk about some of the starter sets that are in this catalog. A couple specific things I want to bring up. Number one, the Zombie Apocalypse set. There are some cool sets starting to come out that really seem like they're designed with play value in mind. Is that kind of the aim of a Zombie Apocalypse set?
Well, we at Lionel are definitely looking for ways to create sets that are beyond the regular railroads. Of course, a Pennsylvania set or Union Pacific set is always wonderful to see in sort of a prototypical form. But it's also really fun to try to think outside of the box of what other stories or themes that we could do that could be really exciting for our audience. And I'll tell you, I think the Zombie Apocalypse is one of my favorites for 2015. What's cool is you sort of get that zombie, you get with your set an inclusion of zombie and military figures. You get the military security caboose that's on the end of that set with a turret housed on the roof. Some really cool decoration that all fits sort of that zombie theme. And you can expect, of course, from Lionel, some really cool sounds that are going to be part of this set as well. So, Derek, I would also say, too, that it probably could help you. I know you're very concerned about how to survive a zombie apocalypse. Maybe this set might help you along those lines.
I tell you what, I think we've all watched enough of The Walking Dead to be a little bit concerned about how to survive the zombie apocalypse if and when it happens. Good to see Lionel is on the way to the rescue with the zombie apocalypse.
There you go. We're there to help.
I think it's neat that looking at these starter sets, one of the things that maybe has never been spoken that much, but it's just known in this hobby, is Lionel trains integrate excellent with other toys. Whether it's Legos, whether it's Hot Wheels, whether it's Lincoln Logs, Lionel trains have always worked great with other toys, and it's neat to see Lionel kind of think about, okay, we can throw some military figures in here, we can throw some zombie figures in, and really, it's not out of question. You can build an entire city and an entire play scenario just around this train set and integrate plenty of other toys along with it, and it just fits in so well.
Oh, absolutely. And I think for every idea we come up with, there's 1,000 other ideas out there of how kids are playing, or adults too, how they're playing with our trains, how they're doing their own thing with what stories or ideas we start them off on. It's all fun. It's all imagination. It's stories, and integrate that with real train history and our past, and it's really the best of both worlds.
Something else I wanted to touch on the Lionchief Plus line is to circle back to those rectifiers for a second. It's great to see Lionel reusing some existing tooling, and we see a lot of that, especially in the starter set lines, and we'll talk about that more in a minute. But especially these rectifiers, the rectifiers have been a staple in the Lionel line for a long, long time, and to see these rectifiers kind of come full circle in terms of have new life breathed into them, and these rectifiers seem to get new technology about every decade. They were one of the early engines to get TMCC, and now to see them get Lionchief Plus, it seems like this engine has been through a lot of changes, and it's neat to see it come back.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for some of us, we know what that item had been in the past, but with the addition of CAN motors, for instance, and with the Lionchief system, the Lionchief Plus system, a little added realism you're going to get with the sounds and the smoother operation. I think it takes a great product from our past and it revitalizes it for use now and as we move forward.
a lot of good things coming out of the Lionchief line this catalog. Speaking of sets, I want to talk about the Hobby Shop exclusive sets for just a second. This is not a new concept to the Lionel catalog. In fact, I think this is the second or third catalog in which Lionel has offered to their dealers these exclusive sets. One of the neat ones I wanted to talk about for just a second is the Patriot set. A lot of folks that have been familiar with the Lionel line may recognize this set as something that they have seen in the past. What's the inspiration behind this set, and do you guys take cues from the past when you design a set like this?
I think we do. We always have one eye, so to speak, on what we have done in the past. And in many cases, we get inspiration from people that we talk with who collect and who we see at shows or whatnot. They have pockets of knowledge about our past products that is quite thorough and really helpful to us. But take a set like this with this U-boat. You're right. This engine has a long history for Lionel, and it's gone through a number of changes. And there's experts out there on Lionel products who can probably give you a history of how these engines have changed and have been used over the years. But where we are at now is taking a great tool that we have, upgraded it to the Lionchief system, and really sort of put it in a new scheme. That it's interesting that you point this out. This type of Patriot scheme certainly has one foot in the past with that sort of bicentennial look. It has one foot in the real train world with sort of it being inspired by actual freight cars and locomotives and cabooses that had been decorated in that sort of bicentennial theme, especially around the 1976 period. But we've sort of given it our own little take on that, and we've used that basically as an inspiration to really come out with a very cool theme, this nice patriotic red, white, and blue set that's run by this U-36 that for the first time ever is offered now within the Lionchief operating system.
And something kind of cool that I don't think many folks have thought about yet, but really, there are a lot of folks that have MPC sets that are sitting on display shelves or whatever, and just honestly haven't been used for a long time because the simple fact is that they're a traditional E-unit based product, and suddenly you have Lionchief Plus engines and Lionchief engines coming out now that it wouldn't be much of a stretch to take, this Lionchief set, buy the Lionchief set, take the engine, and put it in front of those string of Spirit of 76 reefers that were created so many years ago, and suddenly you have a set that sat on the shelf for a number of years, and suddenly it has a new life on your layout because suddenly it can interface with everything again.
Yeah, that's a great point. We're making new things, but people out there have many years of collections and cars and whatnot, and we are, in a sense, providing new ways for them to use some of their existing items as well that fit with however they want to use their layout and their train consist.
Let's move on to the accessories in this catalog, and there's a few things to touch on here. The plug-and-play line continues to expand for Lionel. Not anything that's necessarily new tooling, but a lot of reissues of some of our favorites, really from the past 15 years. Tell me about the Great Outdoor line and how that continues to expand.
Yeah, definitely. As many of you are aware already, we have a great line of plug-and-play accessories that we're really on the cusp of shipping. We don't have any of those out yet to the public, but we're all anxious to receive those, and they are around the corner for some of those. You mentioned like the park type themes. A lot of those accessories folks will be familiar with, but what we've done, just as a quick reminder, is we've taken these classic pieces and made them even more easy to integrate into your layout. So now with this plug-and-play system, it's simply that. You can take it out of the box, plug it into the special lock-on that you have for your track, and in most cases it's as simple as that. Your accessory is ready to use with minimal effort. And you'll see in this catalog, Derek, there are a few new items that we have. As far as more of the entry-level type stuff, hopefully you'll notice in our catalog a new coaling station that we have. We, of course, have other coaling stations in the line, some very nice ones that both load and unload, whether it's logs or coal. This one really aims to be a little simpler, and it allows you to simply manually load coal up into the top, and then you press the button that's included with this accessory, and you can easily load any of your new or existing coal-type cars.
You know, the great thing about coal loaders, Matt, is they can be used to load so much more than coal, whether it's Lego bricks, whether it's jelly beans, nerds, anything you want to dump in a hopper car that is small, round. This coaling station seems like that'll be a good fit for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can't speak for how Legos will go through the new piece, but I will say that it's designed in a way that the system that the outlet system is well designed by the Lionel team. It's a type of material that's sort of a rubbery, flexible material. So what that means is it's going to be very easy to use. It's not going to lock up on you. It's designed to run smoothly. And again, I can't tell you what will happen with a Lego, but I will tell you that it'll be easy for you to manage your station. And we're just doing our best to try to make these as fun and easy to use as possible.
Moving on in the accessory line, again, you know, the expansion of the great outdoors, the new coaling station. Other than that, it's a pretty solid accessory line from what we've come to expect. I want to touch on freight cars as well while we're thinking about it. Something else that you guys continue to build on in this catalog, and you have for the past few, are post-war inspired freight cars. This isn't a new thing to the Lionel line. This is, again, something you guys have been doing for a few years. But we see traditional sized cars with traditional post-war markings. And the other thing that we're going to see that's post-war inspired in this catalog is the space and military-themed items. Very traditional motorized units like the missile launching car and things like that, but updated in some really sharp new paint.
We definitely enjoy bringing back things from that are related to our post-war days. And as many of you know, in many cases, those are near direct reissues of what had been released, and including some of the spectacular older style packaging that we've done on some of those pieces. There's so much we've already released, though. So there is a limit to how much we can reissue. And one sort of new take, it's not a new take, but one thing it's been important to us is we do like to keep that inspiration alive. There's definitely some new product in the 2015 catalog that is inspired by our post-war past. In many cases, it's simply sort of a new variation on older schemes. So like Lionel has done in the past, where if it's a 6464 boxcar, for instance, it might be that Western Pacific 6464-1 that had been done in the blue or the red lettering, for instance. We like now to try to give you guys something that plays off of some of those, some variations from the past. And in a sense, we're creating new variations, new what-ifs on some classic standard decorations from the past. But you might notice too, Derek, I don't know if you've had a chance to see a few of those missile launchers that are in the catalog as well with the sound cars.
Yeah, that's something we definitely want to talk about. It's cool to see these things come back and talk about a motorized unit that is just packed with action. This is it.
Yeah, I mean, with those cars, you see one that sort of plays off one of, decoration-wise, off the sort of a post-war scheme of the past. But the other version, you'll see sort of the more the camouflaged version of it, which is a totally more modern scheme that we have. Taking a classic old, traditional motorized unit from Lionel, and in that case, Operation Eagle is the theme for that, giving it a new look. And along with those, these are command control cars, by the way. So these are the missile cars that you'll be able to control the movement of the cars themselves with your command control unit, and you can also control the firing of the missiles that are on the car tops with your remote control. And then you've got a sound car too, Derek. So you can, as we've done in the past, you can have the sounds of the firing, you can have the warning announcements, etc. And it makes for a really exciting product. And again, that's a type of product that we offer one variation that's very similar to something that might have been done in the past, as well as new schemes on top of that.
One of the last things I want to touch base on with this catalog show, and I would be doing some of our listeners a disservice if we didn't talk about American Flyer for a second. It is Lionel made American Flyer, as it has been for a couple of decades now, but there's a lot happening in American Flyer still. What do the American Flyer fans have to look forward to in the new American Flyer catalog?
Yeah, we're definitely excited about the release of the Polar Express. I know that's not brand new news, and we're all anxious for that to ship. But that really is a centerpiece of our line for 2015. I can't wait for folks to be able to run their Polar Express in S gauge under their layouts for Christmas. And related to that, we do have some new engines in 2015 for the American Flyer line. We're taking that existing new tooling for the Polar version of the Berkshire, and we're customizing the details, or I should say removing the Polar related details to that to give you really a very realistic prototypical Berkshire for S gauge, that scale and size. And you're going to see this in a variety of prototypical road names such as Pierre Marquette, etc. So keep your eyes peeled for separate sale Berkshires in the 2015 catalog for American Flyer.
And for those fans of the Berkshire, I've got to say, if the S-gauge sounds are anything like the sounds that were in the new O-gauge Berkshire that just came out, you S-gauge fans are going to have something to be really, really, really excited about, because you guys just continue to up the game every year with the sound packages that you guys are packing into these engines, and it keeps getting better. And so, like I said, the S-gauge guys have something to really be excited about.
Yeah, you're right. The sound gets better in our legacy end, no gauge. It gets better and better in our traditional line with Lionchief and with American Flyer as well. And another point I want to make sure it's clear is that this Berkshire is what we call Flyer Chief, which may obviously be it's related to our Lionchief system, but really it's closer to Lionchief Plus in the sense that Flyer Chief gives you the ability to run in either your AC transformer control, or you can run it in the mode that would allow you to use the included remote control. So we're trying our best, especially for our American Flyer folks with this entry-level set, that, mind you, that's the scale locomotive, to give you options for how you might want to run it.
Well, there you go. I think we're going to wrap it up on this note. Another great catalog, Matt. And shoot, if this catalog is any indication, Volume 1 is always fun, but it seems that we always get some really big announcements in the fall. And if this is the kind of stuff that we have on deck for 15, I think it's going to be a very, very good year, a very, very dangerous year for some folks' wallets here in the Lionel world.
Well, I agree with you, and happy 115th this year for Lionel. So we're really excited about the year, and we are excited for our customers as well.
Is there anything in terms of, and this may be a Mike Phillips question that would be a little bit more directed to him, but can we expect to see some kind of special events or birthday celebrations as you guys do celebrate 115 years this year?
Yeah, I would say just keep your eyes and ears peeled for some announcements of some things that may be related to our anniversary. So it's something one more thing to look forward to from Lionel.
Very good. Matt, thanks as always for the time, and I'm sure we'll talk to you again this summer. If not, we'll talk to you this fall when we get to talk about Volume 2.
You bet. Thank you very much, Derek.
Well, there you guys have it. Another catalog special in the books. Looks like you guys have about a month to a month and a half to get those pre-orders in with your favorite hobby shop. Again, I hope you guys will check out trains.com and get on their email list to get subscribed for all their pre-order specials, which they will have some great ones. So check out trains.com. As for us here at Notch 6, make sure you sign up for our email list at notch6.com. That way you get a heads up on all of the upcoming episodes before they come out. You can also check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/notch6. We post photos, an eBay pick of the week, and other fun things that are related to the world of O-gauge trains. And one more thing, make sure you leave us a review on iTunes. Again, I do look at those, and I think we will randomly select an iTunes user who has left us a review on the show sometime in the next month or so, and we'll send them some fun gifts. So please continue to leave reviews for the show on iTunes. That's it. We will be back with another episode here in February, so we're not done for the month of February. But until then, keep it in Notch 6.
Thanks for listening to Notch 6, the only podcast dedicated to O-gauge trains. You can find every episode on our website, notch6.com, or on iTunes and Stitcher. We'll see you again soon. Until then, be sure to keep it in Notch 6. The following has been a production of Notch 6 Media and is intended for private use only. This show may not be copied or redistributed without express written consent. This show copyright 2015, all rights reserved.